Hi, good morning. We're here with Mark Titcombe from Holler Marketing in Beverly. How you doing, Mark?
I'm good, thank you very much, Mike.
Good stuff. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. So, if you could kick things off for us and just give us a bit of an introduction as to who you are, what it is you do, how long you've been doing it for, please.
Okay, so my name is Mark Titcombe, as you've already said. We are Holler Marketing. We're a general marketing company, but we do specialise in food and hospitality, food and drink and hospitality. We we serve other sectors as well, so we I would say we're a general marketing company,
Mhm.
but we do have those niches. So, and we offer a range of services, including things like photography and videography, marketing campaigns, SEO, website design and development, etc., etc., graphic
Excellent.
design.
And when did the business start?
We started the business. Well, we started as Yorkshire Media. We were called
Mhm.
Yorkshire Media originally, which started in 2010. I started the business with a business partner who later left the business. So we've been going a fair few years now. So we changed our name year before, really because Yorkshire Media didn't reflect who we are. It was a name that we already had existing company set up for, so we used it,
Sure.
but it didn't really reflect us as a marketing company. It sounded more like we made television adverts.
So, what makes you guys stand out then from other people in that digital marketing sector?
Well, I think it's very difficult to have a USP nowadays.
Mhm.
The marketing, I guess the markets, every market's always been saturated, but now with the internet, obviously you can see everyone, so you
Mhm.
know how much more saturated your market is. It's very difficult to have a USP. And I realized this several years back that, it's quite hard to say, well, lots of people say, well, we give great service or we do this or we do that. But at the end of the day, everyone does the best they can. So I think for us, really our USP is our niche or niches. Really working in the food sector, we work with a lot of food companies, which gives us great knowledge of the food sector, and we get
Yeah.
involved with the food sector and also hospitality sector. We work very hard in those sectors, and I think that's probably what what makes us special, if you like. The
Mhm.
the knowledge we have in those sectors and the customers.
Excellent. So, what kind of made you go down that route as just sort
Well,
of thinking?
interestingly enough, it's kind of by accident. I mean, I obviously realized early on that you need to have it's better to have a niche. I
Yeah.
mean, you can be a generalist,
Mhm.
but if you have a niche, then you can really drill into that niche. And but food started by accident. We I think we took on one food company who came to us after a recommendation, and of course, all the food companies sort of speak to each other. They all know each
Yeah.
other. They talk to each other. So
Referrals. Yeah.
one will say to the other, well, who does your marketing? Oh, that's Holler Marketing. Oh, right. Okay. Well, get in touch with this guy. So suddenly you get two and then you get three
Mhm.
and four and it escalates from there. And I think that's kind of how it's happened for us. It's that, you get one customer, they talk to each other. I mean, like a lot of businesses nowadays, most of our business comes in via recommendation.
Yeah.
And they just all talk to each other. I think that's how we've kind of, I wouldn't say it's accidental because obviously once, at a point we've started focusing on it, but it kind of happened naturally, really,
It's
to
revealed
get those
itself
niches.
and you've
Yeah,
taken
yeah,
the
exactly.
opportunity.
Mm.
Excellent. So, in terms of the spark for starting the business, what was what was
Well,
that for you?
I was, it's kind of interesting. I was running I'm a photographer, so I was running a
Mhm.
photography business, and I had customers who would say, well, you know, thanks for taking the pictures. Is there any chance you could put a leaflet together or something like that? So
Mhm.
you kind of, I'm no designer, I can tell you that, but business is business. So you get hold of a copy of some sort of design software and you do your best.
Yeah.
Um, but also I was working with another guy who had a website business, so so between us we could offer
Mhm.
a bigger package. And then one day he just said to me, "Well, why don't we just go into business together?" And I kind of resisted it for probably 6 or 7 months. He kept asking, and I thought, oh, I don't know. And then eventually we kind of said, yeah, okay, let's give that a go. And that's when we formed Yorkshire Media. So that's kind of the spark behind it, really, was to
Yeah.
create a business that did, that offered a whole. I create an agency, I guess you would call it now. I don't think we really called it an agency back then, but that's kind of what we call it now, an agency that offers a whole range of services.
Sure.
And those services have expanded since we started. We offer, more
Good stuff.
more
So,
services, more staff.
yeah, what's your business journey been like today, then, Mark?
It's been, I think, probably like a lot of people, it's been quite tough.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I'd like to say it's been, easy and on a massive upward trajectory, but it's been quite tough at times. I don't think the last sort of, 14 years have been the easiest regarding the economy. So that's made things a little bit tougher, but we've always done okay. We took on staff quite early on, and we've had a very stable staff environment, which is kind of unusual in our sector. Usually there's quite a turnover of staff, but we have staff that have been with us literally since the beginning, which we're really lucky. I guess that may say something about me and how and my leadership skills. I don't know, but I think we're probably very lucky in that respect. But it's been it's up and down, really. I think you know what it's like in business, Mike. You make mistakes, you learn lessons, you carry on.
That's it. It's very rarely a steady growth curve with anything in life. It's always
exactly. It's exactly, and you've always you've always got to look out for the next dip or the next climb, or you've got to be prepared.
That's it. So what does the future look like for you guys, as far as you could see it, and any
pretty good, really? We're planning for some growth at the moment, and that's kind of gradually going. I'd like to. It would always be nice to really ramp up your growth and grow very quickly, but that's, I think, very hard to do. And there's a lot of challenges at the moment. But things are happening for us and looking good, and we're very happy with the way things are going. We're obviously drilling more into the food sector and hospitality sector, and working with more customers. I think eventually we'll probably just be purely an agency serving those niches.
Great, specialising in that. Is that the reason why you've got the food-based photography on the website with? Is it
the donut
and
a
sweet wrapper on one? And
absolutely, well, we do a lot of food photography and a lot of we work with a lot of food companies. So in fact, that rack behind me is just full of photography stuff, glasses and plates for photography and all that sort of stuff. So we do a lot of that sort of stuff.
So throughout those 2010, did you say initially?
Whatever that is, 14 years.
Starting, so 14 years. What's the biggest lesson you say you've learned in business, if there's one that you can pick out?
The biggest, always keep an eye on your money.
Yeah.
Always keep an eye on the money. And it's a really easy one. Everyone says it, and it's a really easy one to take your eye off of, I think, but you've just got to keep an eye on things.
Yeah.
And just, every day, just know where your account's at. And I think that's the biggest lesson for me. It's the obvious one, I know, but it's the obvious one because it's the important one.
Sure.
I think if you don't keep an eye on that, then you've kind of got nothing. It's very easy to run into. I'm sure virtually anyone who's gone into business knows that it's very easy to run into a cash flow problem.
Sure.
I think really keeping an eye on your cash flow is probably the most important thing for me. That's probably the biggest lesson.
Yeah. Have you learned from mistakes in that department, or is it just something that you've known from the beginning? And
I think we have learned from mistakes because I'm not very good with that sort of thing. So you do learn pretty quickly that you've got to really keep an eye on things, and you make mistakes and you run into a situation where you're borrowing from your personal account to keep the business going, early on, I'm talking about here, and you fairly quickly learn that you really have to keep an eye on things. I think for us, sometimes we'll get customers who order, £20,000 worth of print, and for that, you've kind of got to, you've got to be really careful.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I'd
So
love to
say
say
with
we
that.
have £20,000 in the bank floating around all the time, but we just don't. Sometimes you have to turn to your
Mhm.
customer and say, look, we're going to need this up front.
Sure thing. That's it. Do the right things in
Yeah,
order to keep the
yes,
business going and
absolutely.
explain to your customers the reasons why. And
Yeah, I've never had a customer that doesn't understand that situation. I've
yeah,
never had a customer say, well, no. So,
great.
um,
So if you were to start again,
yep.
perhaps see yourself at 18 or going back in time, what would be the best piece of advice you could give to yourself?
Ooh, that's a tough one. The best piece of advice I could give myself.
Hindsight
Uh,
is a wonderful thing and all that.
yeah, it
But
is. I think it would be probably, to it probably involves staff, because I think staff is our biggest cost, as I suspect probably is in most companies.
Mhm.
I think it would be, don't take on a member of staff until you absolutely need them,
Yeah,
until you cannot manage without them, because they are your biggest expense. It's very easy to say, well, we're busy, we need an extra member of staff.
mhm.
And certainly initially that takes more out of your business, financially than you'd like.
Sure.
Uh, because there's always that period of sort of, even if they know what they're doing, there's always that period of training and getting into the business. So I think for me, that would
Mhm.
be the one really. That's probably that is our biggest expense, staff wages.
Yeah.
And I think, it's to not take on members of staff. It's really easy to take on members of staff and say, well, we need a new member of staff. We need someone to do this, someone to do that. I think there are often other ways to do it, like outsourcing things initially,
Yeah.
uh,
There's
which
big
may cost you a
opportunities to
little bit
outsource
more.
now.
Say again?
I say the opportunity to outsource now is really,
Yeah,
at your fingertips, isn't it? On
it is very easy. It's
yeah,
very easy. And, don't get me wrong, it's not always the right answer.
yeah,
I think having members of staff, I mean, one of the things I we talk about when we talk to customers is that because we have a great integrated team that and we offer a lot of services in house,
mhm,
we all kind of think the same and we all work on projects together. I think
yeah,
that's one of the downsides of outsourcing is they're not, whoever you outsource to won't necessarily be on your, you know, it's more
the
difficult to work
wavelength,
with them
yeah,
on a customer project, because they're
mhm,
not integrated as much. But I still think that, initially it's good to sort of outsource and
sure. But
rather
it
than taking on a member of staff.
makes sense in terms of yeah, your customer and
Mm.
how they uh, want things delivered, and I suppose a selling point for you. Does it work as a selling point to have?
Yeah, we do use it as a selling point. I think we have a team and we all work on projects together, and
Mhm,
even team members that are not necessarily working on a project directly, we'll have some input at some point or make suggestions. So it's a great, and because of that whole range of services we
mhm.
offer, the whole package comes together as one, and we all kind of think the same,
Yeah.
think Star Trek, the Borg. We're all thinking the same. So I think that is the disadvantage with outsourcing. But I would say that certainly early on,
Yeah,
it's good to don't take on a staff. Staff are the most expensive thing, so don't take them on until you really need them, and that you think
good
that they
share.
can pay for themselves.
Great. Thank you for that. So, what inspires you to do what you do? Is it, I mean, you mentioned you started out as a photographer,
Yep.
but interested to know, yeah, what kind of gets you up in the morning, what you like really doing when you're at work?
Well, for me, I mean, I'm a photographer, so I love the photography side of it. But for me, it's taking on businesses where we can see a lot of potential, but that they need help
Mhm.
with their marketing, but we can see the
Yeah,
potential, and it's taking on those businesses and starting to work with those businesses, and then watching them grow. I mean, obviously, as they grow, that's not necessarily all us,
yeah,
but we're part of that process, that helping them grow and getting into their marketing process and putting together campaigns and plans for them, and then watching those work and develop
sure.
or not work as is all the time. Marketing
Is
you
it
can
test and
try
measure
different things
process?
in marketing. It doesn't always work. So,
Yeah.
finding the right marketing level for them and then watching that growth. That's what kind of inspires me. That's what I like. We've got lots of customers now historically who are still with us, and we've seen them sort of come from one person doing something to much larger businesses, or much larger businesses, but larger businesses with several members of staff, and
Yeah.
we've seen that growth, and I love that. I love to sort of,
I can tell.
well, we have customers who will say, you are part of this.
Yeah.
You're partly responsible for this growth, which is a really lovely thing to hear. And it's not, as I say, it's not just us. Obviously, they have to have that drive. You'll
Yeah,
know
yeah.
it as a coach. They have to have that drive to get things done and
Mhm.
to grow. But it's nice to be part of that process.
Sure. Yeah,
So,
I can tell in terms of that inspiration, with your face lighting up, that's
yeah,
a real driver for you. So that's a good share. Thank you. Thank you for
yeah,
that.
no problem.
So then lastly, in terms of any latest news about what you're up to at Holler Marketing, or even just a case of just sharing a website, just so we can find out a little bit more about you if needs be, feel free to do that now.
Yeah, I mean, our website is hollermarketing.co.uk. I think we don't have any offers on. We don't tend to go for offers. We just tend to work with our clients, and we've got nothing to. It's always a difficult one with offers,
Yeah.
and I don't
That's
like.
fine. Yeah. If there's any latest news around anything that you're up to, but it's a case of focusing on that food and drink sector.
Yeah, that's for us. That's it, really.
Mhm.
It's focusing on what we do best, and helping our clients. I mean, as I say, we don't. We're general
Mhm.
marketing company, so we've got engineering companies we work
Yeah.
with, and all sorts of different businesses, clothing companies, and worldwide companies that make all sorts of different products,
Mhm.
and have different markets across the world. For us, it's just really that's us really. That's we're kind of growing slowly.
Mhm.
But for me, it's just about doing the best we can for each customer, doing a great job, and that's where I get my satisfaction. As per the
Yeah.
previous question, I guess that's where I get my satisfaction.
Excellent. Definitely tell that. Brilliant. Thanks, Mark. I really appreciate you sharing all that you have, and I wish you all the best for the future success of Holler Marketing.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks for speaking to me.
You're welcome.